Did you often go to the library at night? I once had a terrifying experience staying there after dark. I was a sophomore majoring in education, a book enthusiast to the point of forgetting to eat and sleep. The university library was my paradise, a place where I could immerse myself in every word. But it closed too early, and the most precious books were not allowed to be taken home. One day, while wandering between the bookshelves, I discovered a hidden corner where the security cameras couldn't reach. A bold idea struck me. I pulled a book from the shelf, quietly slipped into the hidden spot, and held my breath as I waited. The sound of the library doors locking echoed, followed by the librarian's departing footsteps. I sighed in relief, thrilled as I opened the book and lost myself in my own world. Just as I was engrossed in reading, a faint sound like someone flipping through pages broke the silence. Is there still someone here at this hour? Cautiously, I got up and followed the sound, but the moment I got close, it abruptly stopped. Right then, a long, chilling whistle echoed from behind me. Under the dim moonlight filtering through the glass windows, I saw a pair of blood-red eyes staring at me. The eyes moved closer, revealing the figure of a young man with pale, ghostly skin. A shiver ran down my spine. Panicked, I screamed and turned to run. When I reached the library doors, I suddenly remembered they were locked. There was no way out. I collapsed to the floor, tears streaming down my face as I desperately cried for help. The young man appeared before me, his hollow eye sockets writhing with swarming insects. Those insects began falling onto my head, my arms. I shrieked in terror, frantically scratching at my skin to get rid of the writhing creatures. Just then, the flashlight flickered, and he vanished, leaving only the sound of rushing footsteps. My body trembled uncontrollably, my heart pounding as if it would burst from my chest. A security guard rushed in, hastily unlocking the doors and pulling me outside.
Why are you here at this hour?
There was a ghost inside. My entire body felt drained, the eerie sensation still clinging to me. The next day, as I sat in the cafeteria, my hands still trembled while holding my glass of water. Suddenly, Jane, a close sister figure to me, sat down across from me, her eyes filled with concern.
What's wrong? You don't look well.
Last night, I saw a ghost in the library. It was terrifying.
Why were you in the library at night? It closes in the evening.
Slowly, I recounted the entire story from the night before. She sighed deeply before revealing a chilling truth. 2 years ago, a young man had been pushed out of the library window by a group of classmates and died. But to protect the university's reputation, the school declared that he had taken his own life due to depression. The bullies escaped punishment thanks to their family's influence. After that incident, the school decided to stop allowing the library to stay open late. I haven't dared to return to the library since that night. But every time I pass by, I always feel like someone is standing inside, watching me.
Living with strangers carries a lot of risks. I almost lost my life just because I decided to live with a stranger. I am Neo, 23 years old, and I had just moved into a small apartment near my workplace. Because I wanted to save costs, I posted an ad on Facebook looking for a roommate. Not long after, a guy named Justin contacted me. He seemed cold and quiet, but I thought that would help avoid trouble, so I agreed to let him stay. Although we lived in the same apartment, Justin and I rarely ran into each other. During the day, he always stayed in his room with the door closed, only going out in the evening and usually returning very late at night. One night, I was thirsty, so I went to the living room to get a drink. I saw Justin coming back, holding a black plastic bag, and there was a long scratch on his face that was still bleeding. I asked Justin, with a surprised tone.
Why are you back so late? What's wrong with your face?
Justin looked at me coldly and said,
It's okay. I had something I needed to do.
Justin gave me a curt reply and quietly walked into the room. I found him a bit puzzling, but I didn't pay much attention. The next evening, Justin hurriedly left, but his door was still ajar. I stood up to help him close the door, but suddenly smelled a stench like blood. I curiously pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was pitch dark. Groping for the switch next to the door, I turned on the light, and the room was instantly filled with brightness. A horrifying scene lay before me. On the table lay a dagger and a rough rope stained with dried blood. My heart suddenly pounded, and a cold shiver ran down my spine. On the wall, a whiteboard was covered with images of women, each marked with red pen strokes. My gaze unconsciously drifted down to the bottom of the trash can, and out of curiosity, I pulled it out, only to be horrified to discover a pair of pupils seemingly glaring at me. I felt a chill run down my spine, but before I could react, footsteps echoed outside the door. Justin coldly looked at me and said,
What are you doing here?
I pushed Justin's hand away, nervously stepping back.
These are the people who have been reported missing on the news these past few days. You killed them!
They all deserve to die.
I nervously stepped back and looked at Justin, saying,
You're a murderer. I'm calling the police.
Justin smirked coldly.
Then let's see if you can get out of here.
He suddenly delivered a strong kick to my stomach. My whole body was thrown back, staggering before I felt hard. My back, hitting the edge of the table, accidentally brushed against the knife on the table, and I hurriedly grabbed it and lunged towards Justin. But he quickly seized my wrist and tightened his grip. I gritted my teeth and put all my strength into kicking Justin's shin. He groaned, bending down in pain, and I immediately turned around to run. Justin quickly regained his balance and lunged forward, kicking me hard in the back. I lost control, staggered, and fell heavily onto the floor. As soon as I turned around to get up, he rushed at me, pinning me down and throwing a series of punches at my face. I shouted angrily.
Murderer, let me go now!
Justin angrily replied,
What do you know? They deserve to die. Traitors, liars. Just like my mother. She deceived my father, betrayed our family and Kia, and caused his death.
His every word felt like a sharp, cold blade slicing through the air. I stood frozen, my heart pounding. I tried to stay calm and replied,
Do you think doing this will be good for you? Or will it only make that obsession haunt you forever?
Justin froze, his grip on my collar unconsciously loosening. A flicker of hesitation flashed in his eyes. I seized the opportunity, mustering all my strength to break free. I shoved him aside, desperately trying to escape his grasp, but Justin quickly caught on to my intention. He reached out and grabbed my ankle, sending a sharp pain shooting through my calf. Horrified, I realized that the blade in his hand pierced deep into my flesh. A searing pain spread through my body, forcing me to collapse. Justin glared at me and said through gritted teeth,
I didn't want to kill you, but you already know too much.
He tightened his grip on the knife, slowly stepping toward me. My heart clenched, and my breath grew unsteady. I looked at him in fear and pleaded.
Justin, stop before it's too late.
Justin looked at me with disappointment and said,
I can't turn back anymore.
Just as the blade was mere inches from me, the door suddenly burst open. Police stormed in, their guns aimed directly at Justin. A police officer aimed his gun and shouted,
Drop the weapon! Hands up now!
The police rushed in, handcuffing Justin before dragging him out of the apartment. His face was pale, and his empty eyes glanced over me one last time. My breath was still unsteady, my heart pounding wildly in my chest. Just a few seconds later, and I might not have existed in this world anymore. Everything had finally come to an end, but my heart still felt heavy. It was like a nightmare I couldn't escape from.
I'm Jane, a 22-year-old new tourism graduate. I am someone who is passionate about exploring new things, places where no one has ever set foot. Today, after just finishing work, I saw a newly opened coffee shop right under the company gate. The story I am about to tell may be an experience I will never forget in my entire life. My family has been in the traditional medicine business for a long time. When I was young, I often followed my father up the mountain behind our house to find precious medicinal herbs to sell. I still remember once my father told me that on the top of that mountain, there was an abandoned house. The house once had a person who committed suicide, and since then, that person's soul has haunted the place, never leaving. On a weekend, when I returned to my hometown to visit my family, I happened to run into Max, my middle school classmate. Max is a gentle, kind-hearted boy, and my family holds him in high regard. While we were reminiscing about old memories, Max suddenly mentioned the abandoned house. He said that the other day, a hiker happened to pass by that house and saw the shadow of a woman. There's no way that's true! I don't believe it!
Many people in this village say that you haven't been back to the hometown for a long time, so you wouldn't know.
So, shall we go there tonight to watch?
No way, Jane. It's really scary.
It's okay, trust me. After much persuasion, Max finally agreed to go there with me. We walked together along the path leading up the mountain. The path up there isn't too difficult, but it's quite far, so it took us about an hour to reach that house. I stood below looking up at the two-story house, an untouched house covered in green moss, with overgrown grass in the front yard. I was about to step into the house when Max said,
I think we should go back, Jane. I'm scared.
"We've spent so much time getting here, there's no way we can just turn back easily. Come in with me." Max and I stepped into the house and looked around. The objects inside were old and scattered everywhere. I wondered why the owner of this house built it in such a desolate place. Max pulled my hand and pointed at the picture of a woman hanging on the wall. Her eyes appeared to be observing everything we did. I don't see anything scary, it's just a normal picture. Suddenly, Max asked me,
Jane, do you hear anything?
"It seems I heard footsteps on the second floor." We went up to the second floor. The footsteps became clearer, seemingly coming from the last room in the hallway, as if someone was walking around in that room. I slowly walked up to the door of the room, and as I stood in front of the door, the footsteps suddenly disappeared. I tried to open the door but couldn't. It felt like someone was locking it from the inside. "Is anyone in there?" In response, all I heard was the wind outside the forest. Suddenly, the door slowly creaked open, and Max and I turned to look. I started to feel anxious and recalled the stories I had heard about this house. It was as if something compelled me to approach the door, and just as I raised my hand, a gust of wind blew, flinging the door wide open. I saw Max passed out lying in the hallway. I ran over and tried to wake him up. "Max, what's wrong? Wake up!" Looking back at the dark room, only the moonlight filtering through the window created an ethereal glow. I saw the silhouette of a woman standing by the window watching us. That was the woman in the photo in the living room, her gaze looking at me as if she were very angry. I heard her voice say to me,
Who allowed you to come in here?
I felt my whole body freeze, unable to move.
You shouldn't come here. This is my home.
The woman's voice growled. At this point, the whole house seemed to be enveloped in a chilly atmosphere, and the sound of the terrified wind howling outside was audible. The woman slowly approached us, her face pale and looking at us with anger. I felt a chill run down my spine. A thought echoed in my head. "I have to leave here immediately." "Max, wake up! We have to leave here!" Max still lay motionless. In a panic, I pulled Max up, carried him on my back, and rushed out of the house. I ran straight ahead without daring to look back. My legs felt like they had no strength left, but fear wouldn't let me stop. I kept running through the forest until I saw the lights of the houses in the village. Even though 2 weeks have passed, the feeling of fear in my heart has not yet faded. The story about that house and the woman will probably become one of the most terrifying memories of my life. After this story, I advise you not to visit abandoned houses out of curiosity because you will never know what awaits you there.
My best friend and I are going to a live show at a local bar tonight. The opening act is Julia Rose, an indie artist I love. Damn, it's already 7:10 p.m. Only 20 minutes left until the show starts, and my friend is still nowhere. He promised to pick me up at 7.
Outside, I'm coming.
Here am I.
I hung up, grabbed my jacket, and rushed out the door.
Sorry, traffic was a nightmare.
We're gonna be late. Hurry up, or we won't get a good spot.
Max, unfazed, said,
Trust me.
The bar was packed tonight. We weaved our way through the crowd, searching for a spot. The music started playing. Julia Rose was on stage, and I was completely captivated by her sweet, enchanting voice. The atmosphere was incredible. People swayed to the music. Colorful lights reflected off shimmering cocktails. After a while, I reached into my pocket to check my phone, but it wasn't there. My heart skipped a beat. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. I searched my jacket, my jeans. Nothing. A wave of unease crept over me. I quickly glanced around. I asked a staff member if he had found a phone. He shook his head. I ran to the restroom, pushing open every stall door. Nothing.
Hey, get over here. What's going on?
Out of options, I borrowed Max's phone and dialed my number. The call rang twice. I held onto a sliver of hope. Maybe someone would pick it up and return it. But when the call connected, instead of a voice, I heard a strange, low and eerie bip. The call was cut off. I tried calling again. This time, no one answered. The ringing continued until it stopped on its own. I kept trying, but it was the same every time. The unease inside me turned into a deep, creeping dread. Someone had my phone, and they had no intention of giving it back. After multiple failed attempts, I finally gave up and went home, feeling restless and uneasy. It was late. The streets were eerily empty. As soon as I stepped into my bedroom, ready to collapse onto my bed, I froze. My phone was sitting neatly on my bedside table. That's impossible. Besides me, there'd be someone else in this room.